This is it. The moment of truth. You have Mr. Savage Mongrel now contested by Howley and Nefrizzy. King Phaser making their debut. For 9, Moneymaker also contested. All you need, Jacob, one big game.
And it's a huge switch up for some of these teams that were uncontested. Moneymaker for 9 being one of them in the upper bracket round 3. They weren't able to secure that top 25, so they go again, and it is a much harder road. Druxies and Balad on the other side, taking away the loot that they were able to claim to themselves in that first set of games. And you even see a third party on top of that mountain looking down in the distance, gathering that information, maybe even trying to get a couple of cheeky shirt shots to start the game off. But only time will tell what really happens here. Is Moneymaker and Fernayan really not wanting to give up their drop.
Shield breaker EMP in hand, looking to see if he can get a cheeky little toss onto one of the opponents here up above, but crouched around. Moneymaker has an angle, unable to connect, gets hit himself, actually fully cracked now. No shield to work with, as it's gonna be Drux and Milad who have the advantage.
Yep, great opportunity there for Moneymaker, just really wasn't able to capitalize on it. In fact, it gets shut down completely. Now they're still fighting on the back foot. You even got EMP shield breakers coming out. Moneymaker trying to hide around the corner. Great job for Nine fighting back, making they know it's not going to be an easy fight if you continue to try to aggress onto us. But Druxy goes up and over, trade shots with Moneymaker. Nobody really coming out on top so far.
Refarming up. Anything you can get, whether it be a tree. I mean, that ramp won't give you mats, but good thing to break at least. As now money expands out to keep farming. I mean, you can see how scarce the materials are looking, and you can even see a duo creeping on in now for a potential third party.
Yeah, they're getting closer and closer. At first, it started off with just one of them getting information. Can we do this? Can we not? I think they gave themselves the green light. And they're crouching, just trying to hide as much of that audio as possible. And since they heard that a lot of the shots slowed down, they're now just taking more time than they were before. Their plan here is to wait until they start fighting yet again, hear those shots, and that's going to be the perfect time for them to jump on and try to third party it.
I don't think they even know that Fernayan and Moneymaker have already disengaged. So if they do end up finding an opportunity to strike onto the duo that's there, it could just be a regular 2 versus 2 for Trulex and Chicho. Zeo Elam's on the board, but also not a lot of shields. I wonder if it's just they've been unable to find them in ruined reels, or what's gone wrong in that case. But not being contested can be a blessing, but also a curse, especially in these lobbies where you need so much damage. So having duos in the surrounding areas to take shots at while they're rotating can be huge. If not, you can just take the engagement.
Yeah, I think the upper bracket showed us something when it came to Storm Surge in these last chance style lobbies. It's just so stacked compared to the other weekly qualifiers, compared to the lower bracket even. Arc gets spotted out. Heine lands a couple of first shots, but it's going to be a trade, and that's going to slow Heine down, especially considering the fact that he doesn't have any shields to kind of recharge and get himself more total effective shield and HP.
Building up to see if they can find an angle. They know their opponents are lit, but so are they. Just one medkit to heal up. One crash pad to move. As they should be farming up here anything they can as they wait. Only 7 builds, it's not enough. Farm some trees, farm something. As they quickly disengage from the scenario.
Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of these early game fights stalling out just a little bit longer than some would hope. Kind of forces the option to disengage, but not everybody's taking that memo. X-Squeeze Slove just trying to fight back from a team that was aggressing on them down the mountain. They have full-on position here because it was their box they were hiding in, and Slove lands another couple of shots. X-Squeeze there to try to finish it off, but he takes a monster of a tag, dropped down to 29 HT, but at least he was able to get the knock onto Artem, giving them a huge numbers advantage. Slove is not even trying to slow things down. He's trying to keep him on his toes. That's going to be a great piece control going on over to him, but the shots just unable to connect on this final player. But persistence is key. Zone moving in. He's able to escape out the side door, but there's only so much one man can do. But Slove takes another monster shot. He is fighting back both of these players with ease.
Slove forced to take a break now, popping minis. Still has a medkit if they need to get to it. But as the fight takes longer, more duos start creeping in. They realize there's action going on and they want to be a part of it. As now Slove is just going to loot up what has been spared. And now it looks like their opponent might even have a chance to run away. But is Slove going to let that slide?
Not for free, at least. Not without at least trying to shoot some shots in that direction. MZD over on the other side. 1812 still trying to hide as a solo. It's not going to be the easiest thing. I will say the blessing, though, is zone is here. You really don't want to overstay your welcome in the zone, especially considering some of these games have went off to heal off, and that storm sickness played a huge difference in winning or losing those games.
Ticino Uguay up on the ramp. Will they be able to capitalize on this scenario or not? As Slove has decided it's not worth it anymore to find the solo. Medkit being popped, and time keeps ticking.
Medkit's already going to be used. It's great for them to find that very, very early on. Pretty easy as well, but that aggression, the fight stalling out too long, puts them in this position. Now Uguay and Tino seeing all that go down. Now they have a chance with this crash pad. They can easily go direct to the zone or land on them. It does look like they're at least, at the very minimum, going to try to get in front, cut off their path, not make it easy for them to rotate on through.
Going to be using a lot of materials here just to make sure that their opponents can't get damaged. They know how good it could be for them if their opponents are below and they're above. Causes them to be able to kind of make the defensive move while the others play overly aggressive. As Howley and Frizzy picked up an E-limp.
This is one of those teams who are talking about the contested drop in which they have to go through. So far, so good for them. You just got to keep continuing, letting a lot of these teams, because that whole south side of the map in general, whether if it's Snooty or that split drop, is so congested. Even if teams choose to disengage, they're all going to be running past each other. Eventually will cause some commotion. King and Phaser, though, been able to survive off of the drop from Reckless Railways. I feel like they've learned from their mistakes in the upper bracket. This is their first time competing in an EU FNCS, and there's so many different things you got to take into account. It's not just going and moving regions. They've uprooted everything. They're comfortable. So some people are like, playing at home is easy. Even though they are at home, it might not necessarily feel at home. So that's something they also have to get used to when playing out these lobbies. It's almost like preparing themselves for the Global Championship. If they could just make it to this grand finals, it could come true.
I really hope it does. Put aside Snazy now, though. They have some free pickings here with the advantage they have in the engagement, but any fight is possible to make a comeback in. What they don't know is how tagged those opponents might be. So they will continue on with the rotate here. They could even hold them up on the ridge, but zone is a bit far. A third about to appear as well. No medkits in the inventory. Put aside now. Just going to keep rotating.
This might just be a feeling, but I feel like a lot of teams to start this game off are staggering themselves so deep in the zone, which isn't too much of a worry in terms of damage. It is only a one tick. Combine that with the grapple blades and the ways to rotate, you can get to zone. But the storm surge, the storm sickness plays a big role. So we'll see if a lot of these teams that are staggering themselves back as far as they are going to be able to kind of handle storm sickness at the end of the game. But Yapko Blaha, weapon cache time Takata. A lot of teams will be boxed up just like this.
Weapon cache, forecast tower. These objectives, they can give you that advantage throughout the match, whether it be seeing the storms ahead of time, the circles that will be appearing, or just getting that extra loot from the combat cache. There are duos in the surrounding area, but not close enough to be a danger to them, so they should be able to pick it up pretty freely.
You see that Artem is going to be rebooted back into the game. We saw him get dropped off early on. Put aside Snazy knows somebody's around, and they don't want to stay to find out who it is, especially since they do have some distance to cover before they find their safety into zone. And then even further to go before they're in the next zone after that. And with Podesai looking like he doesn't have too many HP heals, that's going to be my only concern for this team. But I've seen them deal with worse, and I've seen them play with less.
Quick reminder, it's not top 25 like the upper bracket, it's top 15 from this lower bracket to qualify to the grand finals, making it that much more difficult for the players that are competing here today. You can see Reckless Railways is getting quite reckless with the amount of duos around it. Misha Tini, though, starting off with that 8-point advantage from the 2 eliminations, which is huge. In the upper bracket, it was 60 points to qualify. And already having 8 points just from 2 elims off spawn already gives you a head start.
It's one of those tough positions to be in, and you kind of take that thing, you 60 points for the top 25. If upper bracket was like any indication, if you look at 15th place, 94 points. So even though those are kind of estimates, you got to be setting your eyes to scoring about 100 points to be safe here in that top 15 competition. And it's going to be much, much more difficult than it was before, considering this is the last chance. Players are going to realize that they can't make the same risky plays that worked out for them in the upper bracket. Or even to kind of make it this far. High Joan, fast strokey, tower in the sky, 10 bullets in the sniper. Definitely set themselves up in a position to where a lot of teams, maybe even if it doesn't look like it now, will have to rotate in this direction sooner or later.
Yeah, I love the position. They have so much ammunition to capitalize on a position like this as well. Almost 300 in the AR, like you said, 10 in the sniper. It's just a couple shots from the AR every now and then is really all they need to get through these first storm surges. But I mean, one snipe too could be incredibly beneficial for Raban and Axe Force. They have decided to base up on top. Ooh. We're building in the Pleasant Piazza. Gotta be careful though. One wrong peek, one headshot snipe and you're knocked down. Good news is they did get the cash. They do have extra consumables, extra shield, extra medkits.
That's smart. That's smart, especially when, like, in Chapter 4, almost all season long, we saw teams kind of take a lot of those extra heals, bring them on over to their sky base, and then kind of trade off surge into the distance from there. Interesting to see them not kind of consolidate those heals into a high ground positions, but it's kind of the same thing. Right now, they feel the safety, being able to trade those shots with any other team nearby because they have so many extra heals to the weapon cache they were able to capture early on.
One thing that scares me is having that build be made of wood. I don't know, it just kind of makes me a bit nervous having so many buildings where you can refarm brick close by. But Rift Island now looks like there is going to be a duo going for Demus here. He's gonna have to be careful as his duo partner was not on the island with him. It's Vision, it's Marco. They're gonna be the ones capturing the flag.
And their team I was looking at in the upper bracket side of things, I believe it was yesterday, they had high ground in one of those end games. But just as we've seen so many times, you have high ground a little too early. A team's just waiting under you, watching you like a hawk until that perfect moment. They grapple up, they fight for the high ground, and that's where they lost all control over their game. They were so close to already being in the grand finals and being able to watch this show on the sidelines, but now they are being put to the ultimate test here. Top 15 is going to be the goal. Darky and Darkus see Heine rotating right below him. They're trying to pop some shots, but you see the key for them is they're keeping their elevation. They don't want to maintain their position on that natural low ground with so many teams rotating near them.
The majority of the times, it's always good to stay elevated. There are some scenarios where you want to use that environmental coverage from a ridge, from a hill, or from anything to maybe block some shots on a team that's already elevated above you. But Darkus, 2 elims, they have a bit of freedom in terms of damage to make these rotations in a location without too many duos in the surrounding area.
Nice find there by Podesai. Shield fish for Snazy, making sure that he's up to tip-top shape. Doesn't want to get one-shotted with a hammer pump, sniper rifle by any means, but there is a team close enough nearby, a little bit more forward in zone. That's Artem, MZD back-to-back. And they're the teams that they've been kind of rotating close together for quite some time. Very, very parallel, so you got to be careful if the zone does pull far away. Being close to another team, rotating, isn't necessarily the best thing, but it really all depends on surge and where you're positioned on that threshold.
Could work out if it doesn't cause you to get into a very rough situation. Looking back though, more towards the edge. Protexia. Kind of boxed up, just looking at the duo. He knows it's a duo there. But they are in the storm. It makes me think kind of what their game plan is. Do they just want to get a clean rotate? What are they looking to do? Looks like they're actually in the sky.
Cheeky little rotation. Not too much trouble. Protexia still trying to go ahead and put shots in that direction along with Edit Course. Not picking up too much surge, but not really a worry either. They're not too far off from zone. Going to re-farm. Top up their mats before they kind of do a little skip to zone. They're not going to go too far, especially with Rift Island being on the north side of the current zone.
Hanging back. Look at King and Phaser. You said it yourself. It's not their home region of Brazil. Now competing on Europe. Back in Chapter 2, Season 4, during the qualifiers, they did break that record of winning 11 out of 12 matches. So they have experienced consistency before. But now being on a new region, it's a whole different playing field. And doing it once again is going to be difficult.
Yeah, in this position where they're at, much different than some of the other ones before. Above surge, center zone. A lot of teams rotating in different directions, so potential for shots to continue working on that surge. But Podesai and Snazy need to do the same thing. 16 as we tuned in, 23 below. But a well-played shot is going to get him above. For the teeter-totter, the bouncing in and out of these builds. He's able to get a knock onto one. Snazy Podesai immediately pounce onto that body, trying to clean that one up. Teammate there, trying to alleviate the pressure. I love the thought process coming out of Artem. Bring the fight to them. Try to catch them off guard. But 2 versus 1. The numbers say enough, and Snazy and Podesai live yet another fight.
You said it, Jacob. They've been rotating by each other this whole time, but it looks like they had enough of it once they took that fight. Looking at Hydro Fastroki. Pistol again in the hands of Hydro. With 38 above, he's going to have to hit more than just a couple shots.
Luckily for him, I will say, if he can just give himself a little bit more elevations, that way he can see the other side of the map. This might not be a bad spot to be in with that smart pistol. Especially with some of the zones beginning to open up. If anybody looks to grab that extra space. But Vastroki and Hydro being patient, not really forcing it. I don't know who landed the shot. Maybe somebody got taken down, but they just bursted up the Storm Surge threshold. And that's kind of how it works. If a team gets taken down that was placed that much more above you, you kind of take their spot.
Good spot to be in. All the way up to 330 above from 30. Howley, the Frizzy, 279. Players looking a lot more comfortable compared to the first match of the upper bracket. Seems like a lot of them are kind of in the zone now. They've realized how much work they have to put in terms of damage earlier on in the match. A lot of the duos as well rotated early. You can see already positioned inside of zone. There's only a few that have yet to rotate in. Howling, Nefrizzi being one of them. Even taking shots at the competitors that aren't yet in. And they might even be able to find an Elim here.
Yeah, it might not. It's not bad rotation either, because he has that natural line of sight of the mountain behind him. So even though there are teams positioned above him waiting for this rotation to come through, they let a lot of the other teams take that brunt force, using them as a distraction. Now that they finally find their crevice on the edge of zone, they look back once more. They see a solo, basically theirs for the taking. It's not going to be a ton when it comes to Storm Surge, but at least it's something. But Darky and Darkus go ahead and enter that same frame. And that's the opportunity that they needed, but they need to take advantage of it now. 50 below, Storm Surge active, focus from different positions in the lobby. This is easily going to turn into a nightmare if they don't act quick.
They've been cracked. Their opponents know they are losing HP to Storm Surge now. They know it's a good engagement to take. They have the advantage if they're able to go in. Darkus also needing to do damage. It's the perfect opportunity to strike, but they have to land their shots.
2 teams low on Surge, getting ticked away, just trying to play into the same box. Something that you don't see every day. Howley and Frizzy, their defense stands tough. They take them out with a little bit of help from the lobby, forcing them into each other's hands, but they've done enough to keep themselves alive. Topped off on mats. Great shields and HP to regain as well. I feel like now they've been reborn.
Good job of instantly expanding out middle boxes once they secured those 2 eliminations to try and stop the focus that was on them. But even after those 2 eliminations, they are still just 88 above the Storm Surge threshold. But with a good rotate like this and now an opportunity to look back, they should be able to get more shots in.
You see Roban and Axe Force in that last upper bracket. Things didn't go their way, and they continues to tumble 100 below, but he lands a quick cheeky shot with the frenzy, but it's not going to be enough to overcome everybody else taking advantage of their positioning. That's Marco, that's Firebro on the other side. Roban's going to try to stagger them in the position, because this is how you isolate a fight from a lobby just like this, especially when the zones are in 50-50.
21 above as the pressure continues. Roban Axe Force now. They have the elevation, but they're not watching their back. Roban dropped down to 26 HP, no shield, trying to escape, but he's unable to. They get taken out.
They tunnel vision so hard on that team below them. Another team needed Surge just as bad as they did, and they got it. They took it away. King, Phaser, great to see them still maintaining above the Storm Surge threshold. That was a much needed break between upper and lower bracket. That was a reset, and this could be the reset that they need. Placement points just beginning to set in, though. Still too soon to tell. 23 teams alive. It's not until about that top 10 where half the points are granted.
This is huge. 14 points. Already such a strong start for King and Phaser. 2 more opportunities after this to make something happen, but they might not even need it if they get a big enough match. You can see Grapple Blade in hand. Rotates coming through. You just have to make sure you don't get boxed here.
Stacey Podestop are doing barely enough to stay ahead of the curve, whether if it's rotation, damage, and Storm Surge, and they do it yet again, but they're separated momentarily. Podestop pauses for a quick second, realizing where Stacey's at before reuniting in the same box, and what an elimination. Stacey was able to get by himself, catching Fishy off guard and refreshing a lot of those materials in which they needed.
153 above. Kind of have a bit of time here to switch up items, split mats, make sure they're on the same page, make sure the chemistry is still looking strong. The Strokey Hydro, though, one of the duos that's getting looked back on by a lot of the teams already based up. Chicho taking shots, connecting them, 85 above, but he needs more.
And this is his chance really to make up for lost time. We really know what this team is capable of. If you look at a lot of the community analysts through EU, they looked at this team as one of the top dogs. Rightfully so. The performance at the Global Championship was insane. Not only contested, top position on the leaderboard, including back-to-back wins in that final. They just need to be able to find that form in this meta, which almost make it sound easy, even though it's not. Whack. Just high ground, shooting down from above, but night zone moving. This is typically a little too soon from what we've seen so far throughout the weekend.
Nobody yet to claim high ground up ahead in this zone. Whack had it before. Do they want it again? It looks like they might. As he goes for a box, takes the shots, gets the knock. This could be very big if he's able to pick up that extra loot and quickly secure the position he was looking for, but it's taken so long. His teammate's been dropped down so low that they're gonna have to regroup and heal.
Yeah, finally they reunite. A lot of the heals are there to bring up to 200 effective shield and HP. King and FaZe are doing so well, handling Surge up until this point. 23, falling below 10. This is where it's going to get rough for them, but Chicho and Trulex, they're trying to take the easier road, less traveled, and that is the road to the high ground. Spinaldo gets spotted out and found towards the backside of zone. Refresh for Trulex to pick up, and now they have solidified their position on top of the castle. It's all about if they could hold on to it or somebody will overthrow them.
Trulex connected. Chicho instantly building out forwards. Issue is only 1 bullet in his AR. Hopefully they can split up ammunition for King now. Running low on materials. Look like he's gotten splitting up from Phaser. Phaser's actually chasing an elimination here, as King might have just boxed up his opponent though, but you gotta play it safe. They group up. Storm Surge is ticking. They're gonna heal, and all they need is 1 shot from put aside. Stacey might stop them.
It almost feels like the team they're fighting against is also low on Surge, trading shots right before rotating towards the front side yet again. Hopefully they've done enough, but another team claiming that high ground for themselves, or at least attempting. Misha, Teeny, they're battling Trulex, Chicho, and immediately have to give it up. Misha took a huge shot and forced to drop down low to the low ground.
Chicho continuing to jump on up, now grouped up with Trulex. They've taken it. High ground is theirs. Nefrizzi, Howley not looking too healthy. Howley really needs some HP or shield here, but unfortunately Looks like they have none. They've got to stick together and secure as many placements as possible here.
There is a huge strength in numbers. We've seen it so far. Teams that feel like they have nothing come out with something. As long as they're on the same page. Howley's going to drop down first, scrapes together the psych mats towards the bottom of the map, and it's just enough to give themselves a position that they feel confident in. Maturity, Nipsey, they're the team right in front. Meanwhile, smooth sailing, Chicho, Trulex, high ground with 2 eliminations.
So far, nobody contesting them, but I spoke too soon as Fortexia from the back knocks down Trulex. Chicho left alone now. The medkits get dropped. There's 3 of them. It's enough for a heal off, but does he have enough HP? It's popped. 5-7-0 gets eliminated.
And that's 2 medkits they earned for getting those eliminations along with the high ground. Phaser by himself. King was dropped. We saw that happen moments ago. His only medkit here is going to be popped now to stagger himself. His play is for placement points. Eliminations are a bonus. Fortexia, Edit course, they're the ones at the high ground for now, but with 12 HP, very little shield. The shot comes through the backside of zone. Phaser drops as well. Top 5 scenario for the game.
Edit course, mythic pump in hand, medallion to recuperate that shield. 7 elims on the board, on fire. But what he doesn't know, a full duo down below, looking healthy as well. Do they have medkits though? Are they gonna play the heal off?
Questions. Belusi right above Nipsey as well. Him and Jurdy trying to claim control of all these pieces down below, but Belusi goes in at the perfect time. 1 knock, 2, count them up. There goes another medkit being found. That is huge for Gabix and Belusi.
10 elims on the board. But unfortunately, we have a bit more information from Frankie, so let's hear what she has to say.